Well, here we are at Brett Graham's Ledbury restaurant. This one has to go in the classic collection. It is one of the best restaurants in this country, and you're missing a treat if you don't come here.
Brett, how long have you been here now?
Been here about 6.5 years. We opened just before April 2005, and it's been a long, hard road. 6.5 years.
6.5 years. You're looking younger when I first met you.
Yeah. Trying to balance my life a bit better than I did when we first opened.
Sure. Well, it is jolly hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Restaurants are a demanding profession. You've got 2 performances a day. We're open 7 days a week. Only service closed is Monday lunch. So every day you're expected to perform. A lot of demand for tables here at the moment, and we're full basically every service. Sometimes a month, 2 months in advance for most dinner services. It's tough. But that's what restaurants are like.
Yeah, and it's all about sending away a happy customer at the end of the day, huh?
Yeah, I mean it's that's what you always got to strive for. Is I suppose very easy way I look at it is if we try and make customers happy, they all come back again once. Next year we're full again.
Well, we're at the end of a very busy lunch. How many covers do you do today?
I think about 56,
yeah.
58, yeah.
And you've got an even busier evening coming up.
Yeah, I've got 73 tonight.
So we won't keep too much of your time, but it's just nice getting a bit about your background, really. I mean, when did you start cooking?
I started cooking when I was 15. 15 and a half, I think, was the earliest time you could leave school. And I had no plans on leaving school, but I did work experience in a kitchen for part of my Year 10 exams in Australia. And I sort of fell in love with the kitchen. I worked in a very simple restaurant that served fish with either chips or baked potato, that sort of style of restaurant. Nice fresh food, served on the waterfront in my hometown. And it's in Newcastle, Australia, just north of Sydney.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and I fell in love with the sort of excitement of the kitchen and the creativity. I went home to mum and dad and said, right, I'm going to be a chef. And they were like, what do you mean you're going to be a chef? You told us you wanted to be a vet, all along, and you're going to go and do year 12 and go to university. And I said, no, I found what I want to do, and it's a chef. And they were like, okay, no problem. So they come down and spoke to the prospective employer. He offered me a job. And off we went. I left school and started cooking.
Tell me about your style of cooking, Brett. I mean, it's very distinctive.
I think I get bored. It's not to say there's anything wrong with it, but I sort of get bored of just serving like fillet steak and really, I wouldn't call them mundane cuts, but I'd just say very common cuts that I feel there's so many other cuts of meat that challenge you more and have so much more flavour, and I'm just using fillet steak as an example there, just to say at the moment we're cooking, say, short ribs of beef on the bone for 8 hours, and game, at the moment we're using things like munchak. I had 5-whole munchak this morning, so we've got to use up the whole animal. So on the taste menu tonight we're going to have munchak served in 2 courses. So we'll serve the shoulder cooked for 8 hours first, and then we're going to serve the loin cooked afterwards. And that's sort of to give you an idea of our style, is that we're trying to use the whole animals as much as we can, which is difficult because it's very easy just to get a fillet and saute it in the pan and off you go. We cook all our deer on the bone, and I'm inspired by wild food as well, rather than things that come from farms. Or there's so many species, 5 or 6 species of deer I think in this country, that most people just know it as venison. They're all very different, and they're the sort of things I'm interested in getting into more, like learning about what kind of deer, what their flavour characteristics are, what their size of their meat is, whether you should cook it on the bone or off the bone, and all those sort of bits and pieces.
So quite a lot of experimentation in that from your point of view.
Yeah, experimentation in a cooking flavour sort of way, more so than a molecular sort of scientific way.
Sure.
So this is on the lunch menu today, and it's an elderflower wine ice cream. We served it a couple of weeks ago with a passion fruit souffle, and then today we served it with a little, just on the lunch menu, with a little warm mango tart made with the Alfonso mangoes. We make our own puff pastry as well, so it's really light and fluffy and buttery, and I think it's an interesting flavour.
It's amazing.
So first of all, little bits, just a couple of fruit purees, whatever's in season. Next week it's going to be blackcurrant, because we're just starting to get some blackcurrants coming in. But today this is blueberry and strawberries. Garriettes. And then we're going to put some wild strawberries on there. Little meringues on top. And that's it. So you've got Cornish youth milk yogurt with some herbs and flowers, frozen blueberries, strawberry sorbet, and the white balsamic and lemon verbena meringues. An ice cream made from a herb called lovage, very underutilized herb. A difficult herb to use, and that's why it's underutilized. Quite strong.
Yeah.
Got an almost like cardamom-y sort of celery sort of flavour, I suppose you could call it. Sometimes chefs cook for themselves and think, oh, I'm just going to cook this dish. I think it's really cool. But a question I've asked, I've made mistakes before. The question I sometimes ask is it delicious to eat? Does the customer really want to eat that? Or is that just me indulging in some sort of cookery fantasy thing that I think will work well? You've got to also remember that a lot of they love the sort of food you've been cooking in the restaurant, and that's the reason. And you don't need to keep trying to make something weird, wacky, and an obscure combination that people mightn't understand. And a lot of people just want to come to the restaurant just to have lunch and be fed and go home. And I think that's what we always, that's what's important for me to remember. So we want to come in here, have dinner, something a little bit interesting, but at the end of the day, it has to taste delicious.
You've got quite a comprehensive wine list here. Just tell me a little about it.
Yeah. Well, we've tried to. Well, what we're trying not to do is try to make it any bigger. It's a big list, but in comparison to lots of other restaurants, it's not a very big list. But it's well spread and well researched, and the business partner, Nigel Platzmart, he has a lot to do with the wine list, along with Luke Robertson, who's the head sommelier. Sometimes people will pre-order wines off the list before they get here, for a table of 6 or 8 maybe, and they say, I'll just tell the chef to cook whatever he wants with those wines. So he brings me a list of wines. We'll taste some of the wines if we have them opened, compare what we think we're going to do, some interesting little bits and pieces to go to match the wines, and try and sort of tailor-make a menu to the customer's wine that they've ordered.
Brett, thanks very much indeed.
No problem at all. Thank you.